So I have both directors for The Price of Milk with me here. So we've got Mr. Yanni Brook and Nick Bruckman.
Great to see you.
How does it feel to be here at Tribeca?
Super exciting. This is my third Tribeca, so I'm really happy to be back. My first docu-series, The Price of Milk, everything you always wanted to know about the Got Milk campaign of the 1990s.
And yeah, there's no better place than Tribeca Film Festival for documentary.
Is this your first time, or
No,
are you going three?
I won the documentary short award like 15 years ago. So I'm very happy to be back with 4 episodes of a doc series.
That's amazing. 15 years is too long. We got to have you coming back every year
Yeah,
now.
I asked Bob De Niro today to bring me back every year.
He said yes.
He said yes.
So no matter what you make, I'll show it.
Pics of his kids, whatever. Yeah.
Why did the two of you decide to jump on board for a project like The Price of Milk? I know.
Well, Yoni and I were both 90s kids and grew up with those ads, but we never knew there's a whole somewhat dark side to the story about how those ads were funded that goes all the way from the dairy farm to the White House. And so The Price of Milk explores everything you thought you knew about milk, but find out only through watching.
Yeah, and it starts with dairy farmers and cows and goes to influencers like Mr. Beast and the stuffed crust pizza.
Wait a second, Mr. Beast. I knew about the stuffed crust, thanks to Nick.
There's a whole world of milk money mysteries that are exposed in our project.
Out of all of the different campaigns in the 90s and commercials, what's the favorite campaign or commercial from that era that stands out to you?
I think my favorite commercial is the short where a man is run over by a milk truck, thinks he's in heaven, but it turns out to be hell because there's no milk.
Oh, that's a good one.
I got to go with classic, which is Aaron Burr. It's a contest. You get $10,000 if you knew who shot Alexander Hamilton, but the guy just took a big bite of a brownie and he doesn't have any milk, and so he can't say Aaron Burr.
That's also
and that changed the history of advertising.
Favorite celeb filmed with a milk mustache?
Beyonce.
Okay. Little Cowboy Carter action over here.
I gotta say Mike Myers.
Myers?
Yeah, he did the milk mustache, yeah.
Well, you two have two different personalities, I can already tell. That's why you come as a pair unit.
Yeah, it was a good experience co-directing. He's the yin to my yang.
Oh, I love that. And Nick, I know that you explained in our panel earlier about how this isn't a film about leaving and not wanting to drink milk. Can you go into detail a little bit more on that?
Yeah, we don't want to tell anybody with The Price of Milk what they should or shouldn't drink. It's really about understanding where your food comes from and understanding about the money that goes into the advertising behind food and understanding how big of a role the government plays in everything we think we know about the foods we eat.
Yeah, I think that the key for us was to really allow people to look at all the ads and commercials and TV spots we take in and really ask ourselves, what is the message behind them? What are they trying to get us to do? So encouraging that kind of media literacy with something as fun and weird as Got Milk seems like an important message.
I was hoping the two of you would have shown up with a milk mustache. Where's your mustache? Okay,
we'll
you've got that yogurt.
We've got somebody with it who's coming right now.
And we also learned that it's yogurt, not actual milk.
Yes. It's a mixture, sour cream and yogurt.
I was never totally clear, and I didn't want to know. There are some things that even a curious documentary filmmaker doesn't want to know.
Don't want to know. You can leave that one aside.
Leave that one alone.
And last question, out of all the different pieces and parts of this film, what stands out the most to you?
I think the thing that stands out to me are the hardworking dairy farmers that are every day trying to feed their families and our families. And unfortunately, a lot of the smallest dairy farmers are getting squeezed out. And so I think it's really important that our film, although is critical of the wider milk industry, is kind of a love letter to those smaller farmers who really care about the milk they make.
I would just say the things that we think we know about our food, everything from the stuffed crust pizza to the quesalupa, they're not what we think they are, and they don't come from the places we think they do. And so we should learn about your food, where it comes from, and who pays for the marketing.
Wow. All right. I'll think twice next time I have my Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza then. Well, congratulations to both you, Nick, and Yanni for this incredible project. Really excited for everyone to see this film.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So I have Joe and Brenda Cochran with me. You are both farmers. Where are you based?
You do the talking.
We're from north central Pennsylvania, Westfield, Pennsylvania, Tioga County, a dairy farm.
Is this your first time at Tribeca?
Absolutely.
How does it feel to be here?
It's very
amazing.
exciting, and we're very honored to be here.
And as far as this Price of Milk film goes, why did you decide to take part in this?
Well, we were plaintiffs in the original federal dairy checkoff case over 20 years ago because of the injustice of the checkoff and how it relates to our farm financially, and the messaging that they are telling consumers about milk and dairy products that is really not true.
So I hear that this whole Got Milk campaign through the government, they actually charge or tax farmers a high percentage. Is this true?
That is true. We are obligated by federal law to donate 15 cents for every 100 pounds of milk that our cows produce and that we sell to support this dairy checkoff.
Wow, and there's no way, of course, to opt out of this.
No.
That's why we went to the Supreme Court. And actually, the pork checkoff went to the Supreme Court, didn't they?
Did. Dairy, beef, and pork went, and instead of listening to our arguments, they swept us all away with one ruling. Yes, we don't think that we really had a fair chance to speak.
And do you think this has to do with some scandal within the bureaucracies of these massive entities that are kind of protecting them? Or
I think it's quite obvious that
Yeah.
that is the case.
That's very interesting. And the media, of course, have they done any coverage on this topic? Or?
Yes, this topic has been addressed. I know when we were the original plaintiffs, we got a lot of media attention, mostly from off-farm publications, because they recognized that this was for us and for all of Americans, it's a free speech issue. They're obligating us to contribute to speech that we don't want to agree with, we don't agree with.
Right.
Well, I hope the audience understands that the Dairy Checkoff program is part of an agenda to basically exterminate traditional small local family dairy farmers from the communities. We were the ones best able to deliver fresh milk and traditional dairy products to our consumers. And mostly when consumers hear about this, they're very supportive of our being paid a fair price so that we can sell them the products without having all this broad industry, milk and dairy products, the only products available in the dairy case.
Is there a favorite part of this filming process that you really enjoyed with the team of The Price of Milk?
Well,
I enjoyed everything. They came up to the farm, and we met a lot of different people from a lot of different places, and it was very enlightening to me. I'm just a farm boy. I never get off the farm, and it was a wonderful experience.
and they were so generous with their time and talent. They were sensitive to our pain. We're at risk of losing our dairy farm because of decades of low milk prices, and I consider them our friends now. They've been so kind.
And as far as messaging goes, what is the one thing, if you could name it, that could fix these issues, do you think?
The main message from this is that everybody should get involved in learning where your food comes from, how it's produced. In the matter of milk, our message is to bring back fresh local milk from local dairy farmers, because the milk right now is basically sweatshop milk. There's exploitation from the beginning to the dairy case.
And is there anywhere that someone who is interested in supporting you as farmers can go to help?
Well, anybody can contact us personally, but this is a political problem. This is a disenfranchisement of our dairy farming community. Doesn't matter who's in office, Democrat, Republican. They use the 5-year farm bill kind of as a hypodermic needle to inject deadly poison into the rural communities by taking away the value of our work, which is our milk price. So basically, consumers have to know it's political. They have to get involved in looking at the farm bill process, and hopefully the day will come when the farm bill will be used as a way to reform milk pricing, not to continue to make things worse for us. And I would suggest that consumers try to buy fresh local milk and dairy products from some local creameries. Maybe some people are making yogurt or ice cream in your community. Some states do allow you to buy milk from the farm. Anything you can do to cut out the industrial middlemen will be better for the consumers to get better milk and dairy products.
Well, we'll be sure to relay this message. Really do appreciate the two of you as farmers. I grew up on a very, very small town surrounded by farms and grew up with farmers my whole life. So you are essential to us as American citizens, really, surviving off of our agriculture, and milk, of course, is so essential.
You're so very kind. We appreciate your support. And
so happy for the
we
two
can't
of you.
Solve this problem without the media getting the message out.
Well, we'll be sure to get the message out there. And again, congratulations to both of you for coming to New York and being here for Tribeca Film Festival.
Thank you very much, hon.
So I have Jen and James with me here. You're both producers on The Price of Milk. Why did you both decide to jump on a project like this?
Well, I think it's such an exciting topic. I actually have a master's in environmental policy, and I, at that time, got to look a little bit into UK agriculture, and I thought it would be so fascinating to get to come and look at the US side.
Wow, perfect background for this.
Very much so. I actually grew up, my dad was actually a soil scientist, so I spent a lot of time as a kid on farms up in North Dakota specifically. So, and I had a long professional relationship with the director, Yoni Brooks, so it was an absolute pleasure to jump in on something that both had a good dear friend of mine directing, as well as something personal from my past, so it's a good
Wow,
combination.
both of you are a great combo. Literally, growing up on the farms, that's what I was actually telling both farmers. I was like, I grew up in the country, in the farmland. We used to play with cows for a good time. That's all you can do in North Bend, Washington. Not a lot going on there. As far as this entire project, what was an incredible or fun, rewarding moment that you can think of that comes to mind?
Ooh, I loved getting to go to the farm and film with Brenda and Joe, and we were just hanging out in there with the cows, which is pretty unforgettable. They are massive, by the way, when you're up close.
They are very big. It's, one of those things I feel like you just have to go and do it to understand how big it is. Exactly, yes.
Very, very into the experience.
I got to actually pick up Brenda and Joe and bring them into the city last night. So I have to say, as somebody who hadn't gotten the chance to meet Brenda and Joe in person on their farm, spending the last 24 hours with them has been awesome.
They're so great, and they've never been to New York for something like this, which is so cool.
Their tour guide.
I was their tour guide last night. They hired the Philadelphia kid to tour the out-of-towners in New York. I think I did a pretty decent job. So
you're an honorary New Yorker, just for
Thank
24
you.
hours,
I've got
of
the
course.
badge for
I think if you drive through Times Square confidently, then you're a New Yorker.
I was very confident in my driving through Times Square yesterday, so I'll take that.
All right,
on.
we'll give you the badge.
Thank you.
Somebody may strip you, though, in a day or two. They always say you have to live here for 10 years in order to actually be a real... No flyover. What do you hope the audience takes from The Price of Milk after leaving?
I really hope. I mean, I think that Yoni and Nick and Jen have done just an amazing job of just looking at how hard it is for a small dairy farmer to exist in this current kind of environment that we're in, where a lot of the subsidies and a lot of the regulation isn't built for them. It's built for big, powerful interests and lobbies and big farms. And I think that a lot of what I see out of them, in Brenda and Joe, they are very reminiscent of a lot of people that I had had interactions with throughout my life, and in a variety of different walks of life. And I think that the small farmer as the small business owner, it's not the most perfect environment for them right now. So I really hope it kind of puts some context on just who's benefiting from a lot of the legislation and rulemaking that is currently in play, especially during this administration.
Beautifully answered. I think I would very much agree with that, and I would say it's a really fascinating look at what happens when you look at American culture through the prism of just one item, and in this case it's milk. And I hope it makes people think about everything they interact with in a day and who's affected.
Well, congratulations to the two of you for being here at Tribeca. Thank you for being an amazing tour guide as well.
Backup job.
Backup job. So if you need a tour guide here, everyone, you're going to have to go to Philly to snag him. Exactly. Call James.
Sometimes the best perspective for New York is out of Philadelphia, so I'll put it that way.